Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and Apple have just launched these two. We've got the new iPad, and also its little brother, the new iPad mini. And it's made what was probably my least favorite iPad, or at least the hardest to recommend, into what I think will be the most popular iPad ever, and it fits in your pocket. Well, just. You might get a few looks walking down the street like this. In fact, here's a list of everything that's new, from the refreshed design and bigger screen, to a faster A15 chip with an extra gig of RAM, so all in it's roughly twice as fast. We get this new ultra-wide selfie camera with center stage, just like the iPad Pros, as well as support for the second-gen Apple Pencil. It's USB-C now rather than Lightning. We get optional 5G, better speakers, and of course there's these four very snazzy new colors, including this purple one, which I have here. The purple apple, if you will.
Purple is a fruit.
So a pretty major upgrade, although there are a couple of compromises with this new version. For instance, we've lost that 3.5mm headphone jack, which is a bit disappointing. And also the screen, while lovely, is still a 60Hz IPS. There's no OLED, AMOLED, Mini LED, or high refresh ProMotion in sight. Don't get me wrong, this Retina screen still looks great, and viewing angles are noticeably improved, but you're not getting those inky blacks that you'd see on a recent OLED iPhone or Android tablet. And 60Hz does, well, in 2021 feel a bit slow, especially considering the fact that this is packing the A15 chip, which is the same one used in the new iPhone 13s. It is kind of surprising that they didn't mention the A15 at the Apple event, because that makes this the most powerful iPad outside of the Pro models with the M1 chip, and is actually slightly faster than the iPad Air, which historically would have been a sort of higher-end tablet. In fact, side by side with the outgoing Mini with its A12 Bionic chip and 3 gigs of RAM, we're looking at an average 80% boost in performance across the board, so this thing is nearly twice as fast. But while that 60Hz screen means that swiping between home screens and general stuff doesn't necessarily feel that much smoother, when it comes to launching games, video editing, more demanding tasks are significantly faster with this. But without a doubt, the most obvious change here is this new updated design, with its flat edges, thinner bezels, bigger camera module, and USB-C port, which brings the Mini in line with the other iPad Air and Pros. So now only the basic iPad still retains that older design, although I will be reviewing that in a separate video, so make sure you have subscribed. So because we no longer have space for a home button with Touch ID, they've moved it up here into the power button at the top of the iPad, and they've also moved the volume buttons, which Apple say makes it easier to reach when using in landscape mode like this, although to be fair, it's small enough that it never really felt out of reach, but I do find myself running my finger all the way around to find where they are, as aside from the camera bump on the back, it's kind of hard to tell which way is up with this thing. So not only have Apple squeezed in a bigger 8.3-inch screen, up from 7.9, while maintaining a similar overall size, but actually the aspect ratio is a little bit taller, it's less square. So when you're watching videos or movies, that ugly black letterboxing is actually a little bit smaller, which is a nice bonus. I've got to be honest, I really do love the size of this thing. For anyone from, kids, students, professionals in the office or at a shop, or maybe using it as a properly good e-reader with the Kindle app, anyone who wants a good portable tablet that can be held and actually even used one-handed, this is perfect. But at the same time, it does raise the age-old argument of aren't iPads just big iPhones? And so if you do have one of the Pro Max iPhones from the last couple of years, you'd probably be better off with an Air or Pro and the bigger screens. Although, having said that, this iPad mini is still bigger, and it's also about half the price. But it is kind of funny when you put this next to its biggest brother, the iPad Pro 12.9. That is definitely a different iPad experience. And also the Pro, with its mini LED 120Hz screen, which I wish the Mini had, we also get the M1 chip, which itself is actually between 50 and 100% faster than the A15 in the Mini. But whichever iPad, phone, tablet, or PC you're using, you're pretty much guaranteed there's a Surfshark VPN app for it, and who are very kindly sponsoring today's video. The best bit is you can use just one account on an unlimited number of devices, and it's just so easy to use. And I do recommend using a VPN, especially one like Surfshark with their Clean Web feature, as it lets you browse the web more safely with fewer ads, less tracking, and you're better protected against dodgy malware. So whether you're online banking or you just simply want to watch the US or UK versions of Netflix, There's a bunch of reasons you might want to use Surfshark. And if you use the code TechChap at the checkout, or you just click the link below, you can get 83% off and 3 months extra for free. And since there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, if you're not super duper satisfied, then, well, you can get your money back. So why not give Surfshark VPN a try? I've got to say, it is still quite frustrating for me that Apple, yet again on the iPhone 13s, are still sticking with the Lightning port, because as one of the features of the new iPad mini, we've had this transition to USB-C coming from Lightning on the older one. And actually now every Apple product, bar the cheapest iPad and the iPhones, now use USB-C, which is about 1,000,000 times more convenient for plugging in hard drives, maybe SD cards via adapters, and of course charging. Any USB-C laptop or Android phone charger will top this up, although we do get a reasonably fast, for Apple, 20-watt charger in the box with this thing. Now, despite its petite size, battery life is actually very good on the Mini, and after 3 hours of gaming, YouTube, and using social media apps, I still had 71% of my battery left. Of course, it all depends on how you use it, but I've only charged this once in the past week. Now, the Mini also supports the second generation Apple Pencil, which isn't actually any more responsive or sort of lower latency than the first gen, but it's a bit more comfortable because we've got this sort of hard edge to it so it doesn't fall off your table, although it does if you throw it on the floor like that. But crucially, it has this magnetic attachment where it also wirelessly charges. So it is, just like USB-C, about 1,000,000 times more convenient than the first gen Apple Pencil. So that is a really good upgrade, although of course it does cost you an extra £120 or $130 or so. Although while this is great for note-taking, e-signing, or bits of doodling, the bigger screen on the Air or the Pros is still probably a better idea if you are going to really invest in the Apple Pencil. Also, while the Mini is too small to have the option for a smart keyboard case from Apple, although separate Bluetooth keyboards will work, the Apple Pencil 2, along with one of the smart folio cases which protects it and also acts as a stand, it just feels like a really well put together setup. And if you want the ultimate portable experience, you can pay another 140 quid if you want to for the cellular option, which now supports 5G. Although most of the time I just hotspot from my phone or use public Wi-Fi if I'm out and about, but it is good to have the option. Now, just a quick word on these cameras, because while you still may be judged a little bit for using your tablet's camera out in public, the smaller size does make it less obvious. And to be fair, with the quality of the cameras on these iPads, with this 12 megapixel f1.8 wide lens, and also Apple's smart HDR3 tech for photos, although of course there's no ultra-wide, telephoto, or LiDAR. But really, it's this front camera you'll be using most, and we get the same 12 megapixel ultra-wide that you get on the flagship iPad Pro. Well, minus the true depth face unlocking, you only have the Touch ID option with this, but we do get center stage, which adjusts to keep you in frame and then pulls out if it detects other people. It is very clever, and actually it works with all major video calling apps. And for me, as someone who does a ton of web calls, this is a really big reason to upgrade. I love this thing. It's not very often I say I love a tech product, but I genuinely do. I don't think anyone needs an iPad, but if you want a really good portable travel companion tablet, then this is the one to go for. It kind of reminds me of how good the Google Nexus 7 was back in the day, a good all-round handheld tablet. This feels like the new one of those, but obviously from Apple and running iPad OS. I do just wish Apple didn't do their usual upsell technique on storage, as the base model of the Mini gets 64 gigs, which is okay, but really 128 would be what you want. But Apple being Apple, that's not an option. You have to pay 140 more to get 256 gigs, which is probably more than you need. It's the exact same situation with the iPad Air as well, and it is a bit frustrating. So for the new 6th gen iPad mini, it's an easy recommendation from me, but stay tuned for my base iPad review, and also I'm working on a big buying guide with all of them to figure out which iPad is best. But what do you reckon? Would you be tempted to buy this, or do you think it's just a bit too small? Let me know what you think of the Mini in the comments below, and if you did enjoy this video, then a cheeky like and subscribe would be lovely. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chap. Oh, and don't forget to check out Surfshark VPN and use that code TechChap to get 83% off and 3 months extra for free. Do it now, or, whenever's convenient for you.